Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So as a person who watches TikTok videos so that you don't have to, I came across a few clips on TikTok that I have to share with you. So a palm color woman came out. According to her, she grew up in a very consecutive home. So she's now online telling her black folks what white folks say about black people behind closed doors. Now here's the thing, none of what she's saying is new to us. Black people already know this. I mean, we've been knowing, and I just have to say this. I don't think white folks realize that black people know them more than they know themselves on this part when it comes to this. I mean, we've studied them for years for survival. Meanwhile, they're out here thinking they're dropping some shocking revelation, and we're just gonna sit out here like, girl, we've known this for like forever. I mean, we've all heard these coded racist phrases. So here's what I want you to do. Drop the coded phrases that you've heard and know in the comment section down below. I want to see just how many of us are hearing the same things. Now let's watch these clips together. I'll be right back at the end of this video to give my own 2 cents.
My name's Kylie, and I'm obviously white. I grew up in a conservative white family, and I know there's been a lot of discourse about whether white people should talk about racism, and here's my argument for why I think that not only should we, but we have to. A lot of racism in white families occurs behind closed doors. I've been over at friends' parents' places and heard them say some pretty obscene things about people of color, assuming that I am on their side simply because I am white. Obviously, this makes for some awkward conversations when I do call them out, but point being, the depths of the racism and the darkness that seeps in deeply into these families can only, in my opinion, truly be exposed by other white people, because they will never be their full racist selves around anyone who is not white. They like to save face publicly and say that they're not racist, but then again, if you go into their homes and you hear the things they say, that would suggest otherwise. I just encourage you, if you're a white person and you know people like this, please say something. Don't just ignore it for fear of conflict.
Hi, it's Kylie again. This is 100% true, and this is why I make the content that I do. I moved a lot growing up, and each time I moved, it was a very different environment. Some places were more diverse, some places were more homogenous and white, some places were religious and more Catholic, other places weren't. And one of the things that remained pretty constant was going over to people's homes and hearing, honestly, racist comments made about people of color, whether they were super minor comments or they were slurs being said. And the first time this happened, I was 10 or 11 years old. I was living in a small town in California, and it was a place where a lot of immigrants come to when they first come to the US, right? I was over at this girl's house, and her mom was an immigrant from South Africa, and that was the first time that I ever heard the N-word. I didn't understand the context, I didn't understand what was happening, and I remember Googling, what does this mean? And that was the first moment that I realized this is such a learned behavior, and not only is it a local issue with like people in my community, but it was global. I mean, this woman had come from across the fucking world, and that is why I'm going to continue to encourage white people, no matter how uncomfortable, no matter how awkward, you have no fucking excuse. If you hear the remark, say something. My name is Kylie, and I'd like to explain this analogy for the reason I make my content. Growing up as a white person, you are taught that everything you do is rooted in merit. So all of these CEOs who have earned their positions, it's because they are truly the best qualified for the job. Sexism, racism, etc., none of that exists. And in fact, our country has completely healed from the time of the Civil War, when white people had enslaved people based upon their race. So now everything is perfectly equal. And if you don't work hard, that is why you end up in the position that you end up with. Systemic inequalities aren't real. Police departments aren't racist. And in fact, if you do the right thing, you will always succeed, and you will always have good things come to you. Sort of a just world hypothesis situation. You don't even learn about racism until you're 15 or 16. So in many ways, the knowledge of white people about racism, whether it's something they say or do or participate in unknowingly, it's about the knowledge of like a kindergartner. So that's why something that seems obvious to you or to other people who have grown up experiencing racism is not at all obvious to white people, which is why I make the content that I do, to encourage white people to be actively anti-racist and to stop doing these things that I call out in my videos.
Hi, my name's Kylie, and here are the top 5 things white people say when they know they're being racist, but they can't say what they're thinking out loud. Number 1, we have commenting on how something smells, specifically in relation to food. Generally, this is meant in an insulting way. Wow, it really smells in here. Whether it's food from Asia, Africa, regardless, white people think that it smells weird because it's not something that they typically eat, and they mean this in a racist way. Number 2, we have referring to women of color as not dateable, and no, this doesn't refer to their sexual past. In fact, what it refers to is the fact that many men are willing to sleep with women of color, but will never bring them home to their white mommy. Number 3, this is often said in private, but you can tell he was raised around a lot of white people, and this is typically meant in a similar manner of he's one of the good ones. Number 4, we get a lot of out-of-towners on Saturdays, and that means that that's when there's a lot of people of color that come into town, and that's when white people typically avoid going to the bars. Yeah. Number 5, referring to very safe areas in the suburbs as ratchet, the ghetto, or the hood. If it's not the direct center of the downtown of their suburb, this is typically when they use this.
How white people act when you call them out on their racism. You know, the excuses always come. 1, oh, I'm not racist. I have black friends. It was just a joke. Stop being so sensitive. I can't believe you think I'm being racist. I'm like the least racist person I know. God, I don't even see colour. I just see people. Do any of these sound familiar? If you're white and you've said this, or you've heard this, then you're part of the problem. We cannot be complicit anymore. Instead of getting defensive, we need to listen, learn, and reflect to do better. Racism isn't just about bad people. It's about the systems that we uphold. If you're ready to unlearn your social conditioning, follow me, the anti-racist mum, and let's make communities safer for everyone to thrive.
So my commenter here, Beast, says, I won't allow my daughter to marry a black. Not no way. I gotta be honest with you. When I read that comment, here's how I said it. I won't allow my daughter to marry a black. Not no way. And I'm so sorry if you're Southern and you're progressive. I don't mean to insult you, but that's how I read that. And I don't even know if he's Southern, right? Like he could, I don't know where Beast is from. Anyway, so this got me thinking. And when I was growing up, I'm 51 now, so, 40 years ago, 45 years ago, I would hear this a lot. And I wasn't sure if the kids were still being taught that it wasn't okay to marry outside their race. So I'm just wondering, if you're watching this, the majority of you, I assume, are younger than me, but maybe not. And whether maybe you're my age too. Was this a rule in your household? Can't marry no blacks, not no way. Or was it not something that was discussed at all, or somewhere in between? How was it for you growing up?
These are some things that white people say about Asian people in private. If you're a person who falls into this demographic, you might have heard these things before, but if you're a white person, stop fucking saying these things. Number 1, the Chinese food boycott by white people during the COVID pandemic. Yeah, I know of many white people who will still not eat Chinese food ever since the pandemic because they are convinced that somehow eating Chinese food is supporting China, or that they are going to somehow contract the virus through the food because of the connections that they have. Number 2, saying that Asian people smell bad. This is a very pervasive myth among white conservative people, specifically referring to South Asian people. Number 3, not knowing the difference between the different languages in Asia and just referring to anyone who looks remotely Asian as Chinese. Number 4, refusing to visit any country in Asia, whether it's Japan, Thailand, etc., because it is either dirty or because they don't want to support the enemy. Number 5, assuming that any Asian person who has had a successful career cheated because of the way Asian people are raised to be very intelligent, definitely rooted in race. I'll be making more of these videos in the series, so comment if you have any other ones that you think I've forgotten. Bye!
I kind of want to add on to the list that she started about different little white microaggressions or macroaggressions. So I talk about travel a lot because I like to travel a lot. It's what I save my money to do, and then I do it. It's super funny talking to my white coworkers about it because I will get microaggressions and they don't even understand how they are that way. So a good example is I recently traveled to El Salvador, and when I talked with my, my Hispanic friends, and in particular my Salvadorian coworkers, they were just excited for me to go, and they were recommending me food and whatever, right? When I would tell my, white coworkers, oh, I'm going to El Salvador, they're like, oh, why El Salvador? And it's like, that's a weird question to ask. Another thing that I would also get as a reaction is, oh, I heard it's safer now. Another thing I would get very often, this is the thing that I got the most actually. You should make sure to get those little tablets that purify the water before you drink it. And it's like, the funniest thing about that is that my hair and skin was healthier in El Salvador because their water has significantly less contaminants than the water that I have in Los Angeles. This isn't related, but this is actually the worst thing that a white person has ever told me. And I was in the elevator at work, and one of these white people just randomly told me that I look like Selena Gomez's boyfriend / husband or fiance. I didn't know who it was, so I had to look them up. And to say that I was angry is an understatement, because who says that to a person? Who attributes that aesthetic to a person? I don't have like a huge ego, but I definitely don't have a low self-esteem. And to equate me to, I think his name is Benny Blanco, actually makes me mad. It didn't upset me. I got mad and I wanted to fight them. But at the time, I didn't know who they were talking about. So, I don't know.
Okay, now let's talk about it. Because while the white woman or women on TikTok was spilling what she called secrets about what white folks say when black people aren't around, let's be for real, none of it was revolutionary. It was just a confirmation of what many of us already know. We've grown around it, lived through it, worked through it, and called it out a lot of times, like a million times. But what stood out most to me was this quiet assumption that we wouldn't know. Like, we don't know, we didn't know about all those things. Like, there's this belief that white folks are operating in some private code, like it's private, it's their code, only them know it, when in reality black people have fluent degrees in decoding that language. Like, we know. We've been studying it for our safety, for our survival, for our sanity. Like, this is everywhere. I can't just say Black American. We go through this, just that for us, like in any other country in the world apart from the US, it's not as much. It is okay. South Africa is part of it as well. South Africa is a problem when it comes to racism. Okay, so let's talk about some of these coded phrases that just drenched in racism, even if the speaker didn't realize it, or maybe they do and just want to maintain plausible, to be recognized, like you're invited to the cookout or something like that. Anyway, let me break down a few that came to mind. You're so articulate. That's one. That one is a classic. It meant to sound like a compliment, but it carries this deep assumption that being well spoken is unexpected coming from a black person. Like, why is our intelligence surprising to you? And this one, I don't see color. Okay, but why not? Because color is real. It's part of our identity. And pretending you don't see it doesn't make racism disappear. It means you're ignoring the systems built around it. They're playing the race card. Translation, hello? A black person dared to speak up about racism, and instead of listening, they're being dismissed like it's some game. That phrase alone that phrase alone excuse me, that phrase alone silences valid experiences and fuels gaslighting. You people, or those people, you know what? Just don't. If the sentence starts like that, it's already going somewhere it shouldn't. Why does everything have to be about race? Because it is about race. The fact that some folks don't think about race all the time is exactly what privilege looks like. I'm not a racist. I'm not racist. But whatever follows after that sentence is almost always something racist. If you have to start with that disclaimer, maybe just don't say it. It's just a joke. Racism isn't funny. Microaggressions are punchlines, humor that rallies on stereotypes only, reinforces harmful ideas even when it's said with a smile. And let's not forget the way some folks weaponize professionalism, like how unprofessional is just for natural hair, cultural expressions, or dialects that don't align with Eurocentric norms, or how aggressive suddenly means confident when it's coming from a black woman. Now, I know not every white person is out there saying these things intentionally. Some of it comes from ignorance, not hatred. I don't believe that. I was just playing around. But here's the thing. Intent doesn't erase impact. If someone steps on your foot by accident, it still hurts, right? Even if they didn't mean to do it. What matters is how they respond when you say ouch. Yeah. And for my white viewers, if you're still here, thank you for listening. This isn't about guilt, it's about awareness. You can't change what you don't acknowledge, what you won't acknowledge. If you recognize any of these phrases in your past, good. That means you're growing. Okay? Growth starts with reflection, and change follows when we choose. Okay, with that being said, I think we've come to the end of this video. Make sure you leave your own 2 cents, your own thoughts in the comment section down below. And I will definitely see you in my next video. Please stay peaceful.